Every man who's ever dealt with women has experienced it. That strange moment when she says something off, sarcastic, or challenging. Maybe it's a playful jab. Maybe it's a subtle dig. Maybe she goes quiet just to see what you'll do. It's not random. It's a test. And here's what most men get wrong. They either react emotionally or they try to overcorrect. They get flustered, defensive, or try to impress their way back into her favor. But all of that only proves one thing. They've lost their frame. A woman doesn't test you because she hates you. She tests you because she wants to know what kind of man you really are. Can you stay calm when the moment gets uncomfortable? Can you hold your ground when your ego wants to lash out? Can you stay composed when she tries to stir chaos? This is the essence of masculine polarity. You don't pass these tests with words. You pass them with energy, with presence. And in this breakdown, we're going to show you exactly what to say and how to respond when she throws you off, so you stay in control, keep your frame, and deepen the attraction. The first thing you need to understand is that a woman's test is never about the surface issue. It's not about the words. It's about your reaction. She's not trying to hurt you. She's trying to feel you. Feel your energy. Feel your grounding. Feel whether you're centered in yourself or if you get pulled into her emotional storm. Most men fail the test not because they say the wrong thing, but because they stop leading. They start explaining, apologizing, defending, or even worse, trying to please. That's when the attraction starts to fade. So what do? You don't react, you respond, from your frame. Let's say she says, "Is that the best you could do?" Most guys would defend themselves, but the Stoic man pauses, smirks, maybe says, "You tell me," and moves on, calm, unbothered. He doesn't try to impress. He doesn't try to win her approval. He lets the moment breathe, and in that silence, she feels his power. When you stop reacting to her emotional spikes, you become the one who regulates the energy between you. That's leadership. That's attraction. That's frame. Most men make the mistake of thinking a woman's test is a challenge they need to win. They think, if I can just explain my side, prove my worth, or make her happy, I'll pass the test. But here's the truth. The moment you try to win, you've already lost. Because now, you're reacting. You've stepped out of your frame and into hers. A test is not about logic. It's about emotional tone. It's her subconscious way of asking, can I trust your strength? Can you hold the tension without folding? Can you stay grounded when I'm not? And the answer she wants, the one that builds attraction, isn't found in the words you say. It's in your energy, your eye contact, your breath, your stillness. She doesn't need a clever comeback. She needs to feel your unshakable presence. The Stoic man doesn't avoid tension. He welcomes it, not to dominate, not to control, but to show that he is unfazed, that he doesn't chase peace by collapsing his standards, that he can hold her emotional charge without losing himself. So what do you say when she tests you? Often, less is more. A slow smile, a confident pause, a nonchalant, maybe, or you tell me, and then silence. Not coldness, just stillness. The kind that makes her lean in. The man who doesn't rush to fix the moment becomes the man who defines it. If you're ready to master calm, power, and presence, subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss the next level. When she throws a test your way, it's not always a sign that something's wrong. In fact, many times, it's a sign that she's intrigued. She's poking at your frame, not to destroy it, but to see if it's real. Think of it like tapping a wall to see if it's hollow or solid. She wants to know, is this the kind of man who can hold his center, or will he crumble the moment tension shows up? And here's where most men fail. They confuse testing with disrespect. They take it personally. They get defensive, angry, or overly emotional. But reacting like that only confirms her deepest fear, that you're not grounded, that you're just pretending to be confident, and now the mask is slipping. But the Stoic man? He understands the deeper psychology behind the test. He sees it as information, not an insult, a reflection of her desire for masculine leadership, not rebellion. So he doesn't react. He responds. With calm, with presence, with a touch of playful indifference. Because he knows that his value isn't proven by passing her test, but by refusing to be pulled into emotional chaos. Think about it. when she says something provocative, maybe challenges your opinion, teases your masculinity, or questions your intentions? What if you didn't take the bait? What if instead you let the moment stretch? Let her sit in the tension while you stayed relaxed, maybe even amused. That's not being cold, that's being in control. And the man in control of himself becomes the man she trusts to lead her. Now let's talk about what not to say when she tests you, because this is where most men lose frame without realizing it. When a woman throws a test your way, weak men try to defend themselves. They explain, they over-justify, they scramble to prove they're not that kind of guy. But the moment you do that, you've already failed. Because the moment you start proving, you start chasing. And chasing is the opposite of masculine energy. You don't need to explain your worth. You don't need to defend your masculinity. You don't need to convince her of anything. Your energy does the talking. Your presence holds the frame. Here's an example. Let's say she says, "You probably say that to all the girls." Most men would reply with, "No, of course not. I'm not like that. I really meant it." And boom, you're now performing. But the Stoic man, he might smirk, let the silence breathe, and say something like, "Maybe, maybe not. Guess you'll have to stick around and find out." See what happened there? No defensiveness, no neediness, just calm, unbothered energy. You didn't reject the test, you absorbed it, redirected it, made it playful. Because when she throws you off balance and you stay centered, you show her something most men can't. Emotional control. That's what women crave. Not perfection, not lines, presence, poise, power and stillness. The test isn't about the words you use. It's about the energy you hold. And if you can hold that frame under pressure, you don't just pass her test, you earn her respect. Another mistake men make when they're being tested is taking things personally. They think, "Why would she say that?" Or, "Is she trying to embarrass me?" But here's the truth. Her test isn't about you. It's about her need for certainty. She needs to feel your strength, not hear you talk about it. So when she pokes, prods, or throws sarcasm your way, your job isn't to correct her, it's to remain composed. Not because you're passive, but because you're powerful. Understand this. A test is not an attack. It's an invitation. It's her subconscious asking, "Can you hold your ground? Can you lead even when I'm being emotional? Can I trust your frame when things get messy?" If you react with frustration or anger, you've shown her that your confidence is conditional, easily broken when things aren't smooth. But if you stay relaxed, breathe slowly, and maintain calm eye contact, you're sending a different message. I don't flinch, I don't fold, I don't lose myself to prove myself. This is the Stoic advantage. You don't try to win the test. You allow it. You see it for what it is, a moment where presence is louder than persuasion. And when you embody that presence, you don't just pass her test, you transcend it. At this point, you might be asking, "Okay, but what do I actually say when she tests me?" The answer, not much. And when you do speak, it's not to justify, defend, or prove yourself. It's to lead. Let's say she says something like, "Is that really the shirt you're going to wear?" Or, "Wow, you're so full of yourself." Most men either get offended or scramble to say something clever. But that's the trap. She doesn't want clever. She wants certainty. The high-value man doesn't defend his shirt. He doesn't explain why he's confident. He just smiles, maybe even raises an eyebrow, and says something simple like, "You're cute when you're testing me," or "Noted," or even just holds eye contact and says nothing at all. Because it's not about the words. It's about the weight behind them. She's not listening to what you say. She's feeling who you are underneath your response. If you're calm, grounded, and a little amused, she relaxes. Because you've shown her that her storm can't shake your center. That's leadership. That's frame. You don't win by talking. You win by not needing to talk. Your silence is louder than her sarcasm. Your stillness is stronger than her push. When you master this, something shifts. She stops testing because she realizes she doesn't need to. She's already found the strength she was looking for. One of the most misunderstood things about women's tests is this. They're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to feel you. When a woman tests you, she's not hoping you'll fail. She's hoping you'll hold steady. She wants to feel the boundaries of your strength. She wants to know if the man in front of her is emotionally secure or just pretending. And this is where most men fall apart. They either get angry and defensive, or they cave and try to appease her. In both cases, the woman loses trust, because she now knows that he's either reactive or weak. Neither inspires attraction. But the Stoic man, he welcomes the test. Not because he's arrogant, but because he's prepared. He's done the work. He knows who he is. He's not seeking validation. He's not emotionally dependent on her approval. And so, when the test comes, he simply doesn't flinch. This kind of non-reactivity is powerful. It's rare. It's magnetic. Let's break this down practically. When she says something that feels like a challenge, you're not even listening. Why are you acting weird? I bet other girls would do more for you. You don't match her energy. You don't get defensive. You don't lecture. You hold your frame. You slow down your breath. You soften your tone. You look her in the eyes and say something like, "Is that how you feel?" Or, "I hear you." Then you pause, not to manipulate, but to show that you are not afraid of tension. Because the man who can stay calm in tension is the man who earns her trust, not just her attraction, her trust. The moment you begin to see her tests not as threats, but as opportunities, everything changes. Most men see a woman's test as an insult, an attack, or a sign she's being difficult. But the Stoic man understands something deeper. Tests are how feminine energy seeks security. They are invitations to lead emotionally. When she tests you, she's subconsciously asking, "Can I relax around you? Can I trust you not to crumble under pressure? Can I feel safe in your emotional strength?" And every time you pass a test by holding your frame, staying calm, and staying rooted in your values, you answer yes. But let's make this practical. Imagine she suddenly becomes cold, distant, or even sarcastic. She says, "Maybe we're not a good match." Most men would react with fear, explaining themselves, trying to fix things, chasing. But the Stoic man pauses. He breathes. He doesn't argue or get needy. Instead, he might say, "That's okay. I'm not here to convince you of anything." And then, silence. That one line, said calmly with grounded energy, tells her everything she needs to know. That you are not desperate, that you are centered, that you will not betray yourself to win her approval. And here's the paradox. It's often in that stillness, that self-assurance, that she starts leaning toward you again, because now she sees something rare. A man who doesn't perform, doesn't chase, doesn't collapse. A man who simply is. And in today's world of insecure overreaction, that kind of presence is unforgettable. Another way women test men is through emotional escalation, sudden mood swings, passive-aggressive comments, or creating drama out of thin air. This isn't about cruelty, it's about emotional calibration. She wants to feel where your limits are. She wants to feel your strength, not physically, but emotionally. The average man reacts, he tries to fix it. He apologizes for things he didn't do. He pleads for peace, just to make the tension go away. But the Stoic man knows that tension isn't the enemy, it's the path. So when she storms out of the room or sends a cold text or throws an emotional grenade just to see what happens, you don't bite, you don't retaliate, you don't chase, you hold. Holding frame doesn't mean being silent and cold. It means responding without ego, with calm precision. It means saying something like, "I'm not here to argue, I'm here to connect. Let me know when you're ready for that." Simple, steady, sovereign. This is how a man leads a relationship, not by force, not by control, but by emotional anchoring. She may not even know why she's testing you, but when you don't take the bait, when you lead the energy, she feels it in her body. This man is safe. This man is solid. This man is different. And that difference, that's what creates attraction she can't explain. Because while other men react to her waves, you become the shore. There's another kind of test most men never recognize, the soft rejection. It sounds like, "I'm just not sure what I want right now. You're really great, but I'm not ready for anything serious." Most men panic at this. They chase harder. They try to prove their worth. They beg for clarity. But here's the secret. These aren't always rejections. they're reflections. She's feeling your frame and watching what you do next. If you crumble, she knows you were never grounded. If you start trying to win her back, she knows she has the power. But if you stay calm, if you acknowledge her words, give space, and don't flinch, something shifts. Why? Because women test to find your edge. And when you don't collapse under pressure, they realize you have none. You are rooted, still, stable. That's not just attractive. It's irresistible. Here's what to say when she hits you with soft rejection. I hear you, and I respect it. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm solid either way. No emotion, no begging, no fear, just centered energy. And what happens next? Sometimes she walks, and that's good. Because now your frame has protected you from chasing someone who was never ready. But often, she comes back. Because while the other men begged, you led. And leadership, calm, clear, quiet leadership, is what women are starved for. So next time she pulls away or questions the connection, don't take it personally. Take it as your opportunity to show her what real masculinity looks like. Not in words, but in asterisk energy. Another common test you'll face, and one of the most subtle, is when she tries to provoke an emotional reaction from you. She might say something dismissive, bring up her ex, compare you to other men, or make a sarcastic comment designed to throw you off balance. She's not doing it to be cruel. She's doing it to see what kind of man she's dealing with. Will you get jealous, defensive? Will you try to argue your worth or prove yourself? Or will you remain calm, composed, and utterly unbothered? The high-value man doesn't react to provocation. He doesn't take the bait, because he's not there to compete. He's there to observe and lead. So when she tries to rattle you, smile slightly. Maintain eye contact. Respond with grounded calm, or even silence. Let your stillness speak louder than any comeback. For example, if she says, "My ex used to take me to places way nicer than this," most men would spiral, apologize, get insecure, try to explain. But the Stoic man, he might say, "That's good to know," with a calm, amused tone, and continue as if nothing happened. That subtle strength does something to her. It shows her you won't be controlled, you won't be shaken, you won't let her pull you out of your masculine frame. And here's the paradox. The less you try to defend yourself, the more she wants to earn your respect. So remember, these tests aren't roadblocks. They're invitations. Invitations to prove that you're not like the rest. Not through bravado, not through arguments, but through your unshakable presence. Sometimes her test isn't about conflict, it's about uncertainty. She may withdraw, become less responsive, less affectionate, and most men, at this point, panic. They start chasing harder, asking questions, trying to fix whatever went wrong. But this is another kind of test, a silence test. And your reaction to it reveals everything about your inner strength. A woman will pull away just to see what you'll do, not because she's cruel, but because she wants to know, can this man stay composed when I give him nothing? The average man fills the space with desperation. He texts more. He overanalyzes. He loses sleep trying to decode her behavior. But the Stoic man, he allows space. He mirrors the distance with groundedness, not with fear. He doesn't punish her, doesn't chase her. He just continues being the man he was before. She pulled back. This shows her something vital. Your frame is not reactive to hers. You are not orbiting her behavior. You are anchored. And this calm, detached response creates the very thing most men try to force: emotional tension. Because now she's wondering, why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he fazed? That wonder becomes intrigue. That intrigue becomes desire. And that desire draws her back. So when she goes quiet, don't flinch. Stay busy, stay focused, stay grounded. Let your silence communicate this. I noticed the change, but I trust myself enough not to react to it. Because nothing communicates strength like a man who doesn't panic when attention fades. When you understand how to handle her tests without losing your frame, something profound happens. You stop reacting, and you start leading. You're no longer thrown off by her moods, her silence, her doubts. You see them for what they are: opportunities to demonstrate your strength, not threats to your worth. This is where true attraction is born, not in the big gestures, not in the perfectly crafted messages, but in the quiet power of your response. Most men will never get this. They'll chase harder, talk more, explain themselves endlessly, and collapse under the weight of their emotional neediness. But not you. Because now, you know. When she tests you, stay grounded. When she pulls back, don't chase. When she challenges your authority, don't explain. Stand firm. When she gets emotional, don't match her. Contain it. When she tries to control the frame, lead it back. Calmly. The Stoic man is not perfect. He is consistent. He is the anchor in the storm. He understands that feminine energy flows, shifts, and tests. And it is the job of the masculine to remain steady through it. So when the test comes, and it will, don't flinch, don't fold, don't fight, just breathe, watch, hold frame, and respond from power, not panic. Because when she realizes that her tests don't shake you, they start to attract her even more. This is the art of Stoic response. This is the way of the grounded man. Stay calm, stay present, stay unshakable. This is marble masculinity.